Hey friends, and welcome back to Gardening Suburbia. My name is Amanda and I'm happy to have you here with me. Today we are just about 9 days away from our spring equinox. So this basically means our sun is going to be right at the equator, and both sides of the hemisphere are going to get equal amounts of sunshine. Means we're so much closer to having all of our lovely plants get out into the garden. I'll go ahead and show you guys them now. So I still have quite a few things that haven't quite sprouted yet. This is the cup and saucer flowers. I don't think that I planted these with you guys, but this was the first year for these guys. And then I have a whole bunch of sage coming up. All of our tomatoes, pretty much, except for the vintage wine, has sprouted, so all of them are up. Right here I have the Black Beauty. This is that tomato that is practically dark purple, blue, almost black, with the flesh. So on the stems you can see how it's a purplish hue. Typically when you see it purpling, it's a phosphorus deficiency, and that's when you're going to go feed it bone meal, something that adds back a phosphorus. But as you can see, compared to the other tomatoes, those tomatoes really have that purple hue. This is not a phosphorus deficiency for this variety. This variety, because it is a black, blue, fleshed tomato, it has an extreme presence of that anthocyanin. This is like the same antioxidant that is present in blackberries and blueberries that give them that color. So this variety is more typical to have stems that are that color. If you were to see, once these get true leaves, a purpling defect under the leaves of your seedlings, that would be more so towards that deficiency in phosphorus. But all of these tomatoes look so good. There are so many of them. I don't know where the heck I'm going to put them all, but I will be giving quite a few away. Over here we have all of our herbs and flowers. Rosemary's coming up, not quite as much as I'd like, but we do have quite a few little seedlings here. Our Parker's variety yarrow is doing great. We've got a whole bunch of cumin. He is very happy. I switched him around so he'd move his seedlings the other direction to stretch more towards the light. Our Astor's violets are coming up. We've got some of those bachelor buttons. This is an edible flower. And then we have our thyme, which always does really well for me. And then all of the other flowers in the background are doing so good, and I'm so excited to have so many great flowers for the pollinators and for some really beautiful parts in the garden. So here in the next week or so, I am going to be planting out some cabbage and my spinach. My cabbage is doing so well. I went ahead and I took some of my seedlings out of here, so I kind of pinched them off just to leave the stronger seedlings in there. I don't need 20 heads of cabbage. I don't really have space for 20 heads of cabbage in my garden. These are market cabbage, so they are a smaller variety than like those typical really big ones that you'd find in the grocery store. I probably still need to go through and kind of pinch off a few more just because there are still so many in here, and they're kind of fighting for nutrients at this point. But today's plan is to go ahead and do our planting of our 4 to 6 week seedling set, and then to also up pot some of our pepper plants. So we have a bunch of pimento peppers. These are all pimentos. And then we've got a couple other varieties like the Sugar Rush Peach. He needs to be up potted. I did realize I only potted one of these planters. I had said in a video that I was going to do 2 just because I had some plans for these. But I somehow only managed to plant 1 pot instead of the 2 pots. So I have 3 seedlings. I want to save all 3 of these guys just because I have a lot of plans for this particular pepper. The pimento pepper is probably one of my favorites too, so we're going to be planting these guys up, and if we don't have spots in the garden, we'll find homes for them with friends or family. I think those are only 3 peppers that we're going to be messing with today. I'll go ahead and show you my artichoke. So I had planted 4 seedlings in this pot. and all 4 of them came up. 2 of them came up faster. This one was probably the first one that came up. And then the last 2 came up, and they were very small, very slow to grow. So I went ahead and I pinched off the 3 weaker ones. Artichokes are notorious for being very large plants. I plan on putting this in a wooden box I have in my garden that currently has a few asparagus starts in there. That will be their, I believe it's going to be their 2nd or 3rd year. I'll have to go back and look. If it's their 3rd year, then I can start harvesting asparagus. But we will see. But I'm going to go ahead and put this guy, I think, in that pot just because he gets really large, and I feel like that'll be the best spot for him in my garden. He's already sending off his 3rd set of leaves. He looks really cool. He's got very mini little kind of like a fur, got a little texture to him. He's very spiky. First year growing some artichoke. I'm kind of excited about this. I saw a recipe the other day that just sounded so good. It was like a pesto, garlic, olive oil, like chop mix, and you just like smother it inside of the artichoke, bake it, and then eat it, and it looks really good. I'm super excited for this gardening season. I hope you guys are too. Let us start getting those seeds in the soil. Today I am using a different seed starting mix. Last time we used I think it was Kellogg's organic potting mix. I got it because I haven't used it before and I wanted to try it out, and I don't think that I'm going to be using it again. It was a little bit more expensive than Miracle-Gro, which is not my first choice, but in my area there's not very many options. So I went ahead and picked up another bag of Miracle-Gro just because it's lighter, fluffier, doesn't have quite as much mulch and screws in it because the Kellogg's had a nail in it. So that's what we're going to be using today. So I have quite a few different varieties that I'm actually going to be starting from seed today. Some of them I have planted, some of them I have not, just like usual. So one of the ones that I have done is basil, just the Italian Genovese variety, as well as the 10 Fingers of Naples tomato. I really liked this tomato from last year. It is like kind of like a plum paste tomato variety. It's a little thinner than just like your regular Roma tomato. It is a determinate variety, which means it has a set amount of fruit. But I'm going to be going ahead and doing this variety again. I think this year I actually am going to do kind of an experiment of sorts, and I'll go ahead and show you what I mean by that. So tomatoes, I have another Cherokee Purple. This is a pole variety, and it gets to have 6 feet or more of vines. So this is one that I'm kind of curious to see if I can train onto a cattle panel trellis. There are a couple other plants that I am trying to think about where I'm going to be placing in my garden. I have the birdhouse gourd, which was a part of this set of seeds that I was going to be starting, and then I realized I should probably be sowing them outside 1 to 2 weeks after our last frost. My last frost is April 24th, so I still have some time before I can really start those. And that's really just what the seed packet recommends. You could theoretically start them inside and transplant them, but I have a lot of things that I'm transplanting currently, so I figured this year I'll do what the seed packet recommends, and then maybe next year I can dabble around and do something a little different than what is recommended, because not always what is recommended is, I mean, there's so many different ways to do things. So it's always fun to experiment a little bit. These Cherokee Purple tomatoes are one that I've heard a lot about. Has sweetness and even a hint of smoke, making it a winner in taste tests. So another variety of tomatoes to add some really good flavor to my tomato sauces and salsas. And I want to see if I can get this on a cattle panel. As well as my artisan Tiger Stripes blend, and this is a cherry pole variety. So again, it's one that's more leans to vining out. This one is really interesting. I actually already opened up the packet because it has a blend of seeds, and they actually even, they tell you which variety is which by a organic food coloring that they use to color code the seeds, which I've never seen that before. And so I'm super excited about that. I almost forgot. So I'm going to have to make tags and make sure that I plant all 3 varieties, because I have a green variety that is the natural seed color. There is the pink variety that is a red food colored seed, and then there is a blush tomato, which is a yellow food colored seed. So 3 different colors of this tomato variety in one pack, and that's just so cool. So this is another one that I'm going to be planning on putting on a trellis. I'm probably going to put it alongside that Cherokee purple variety. The next one is another one that I've heard a lot about. It is the ground cherry pineapple. There are a ton of mixed reviews on this variety. There are people that don't like it, there are people that do. I love pineapple, and so I'm not a big tomato fan, you guys know this. So I'm hoping, again, I'm gonna be trying a whole bunch of tomatoes this year. I'm gonna actually take a tomato during like midday when it's gathered all the right types of sugars and it's warm from the sun, and I'm gonna try all of these tomatoes as is, straight from the garden. These are one of the ones that I'm really excited about because it has a sweet, like pineapple-y flavor. And these are actually ones that you don't harvest directly off of the plant. You wait until these ground cherries, as the name implies, you wait for them to fall off the plant and be on the ground. That is when they are perfectly ripened. So we will see. I think that another thing I love about Botanical Interest is that they use every inch of the seed packet. So even on the inside of the packet, there is information. They even sometimes have recipes for the variety that you've purchased. So this one actually has a pineapple salsa recipe on the inside, and I'm so intrigued by that I really want to get this open to try it. So this is another one I'm excited about. We'll see how it goes. I may like it, I may not. I will be honest with you guys when the time comes to actually trying these, what my opinion is, but your opinion may differ. So I wouldn't shoot down a variety based on what someone else says. You have to try it for yourself. So for flowers, I think we have 2 types of flowers in here. We have some marigolds, which I have my favorite variety, which is the Kilimanjaro White, which is a Baker Creek heirloom seed variety. I just really like the coloring of them. I think they're really pretty. So I have this marigold in here. Again, this is a pollinator friendly variety. It brings in all of those bees. And then I got a Burpee Climax Mixed Colors variety. Giant, fully double, almost spherical blooms, up to 5 inches across, ideal for cutting. So this is a fun one because I could actually use this for some flower vases in my house. Lastly, for the flowers I have, / medicinal herbs, I have the toothache plant, which is a variety that when you actually eat the bud, it gives a numbing effect in your gums. I just think this is a great one to have on hand. Plus the little yellow spheres are just really pretty, and I think that'd be really pretty in a vase of flowers. So I am slightly embarrassed to tell you guys this story, but I feel that it is important to share this story because I am a novice gardener. This is my 3rd year of intentionally growing food or plants to have food to store away for later. I've grown a couple of different varieties of flowers and whatnot throughout the years, but this year is my 3rd year of actually trying to grow food for preserving. So my 1st year of growing, I did grow some Brussels sprouts from seed, and I think I planted them out, it was probably in the spring. I planted them out in the spring and they got big and beautiful and they just didn't bud up. They didn't head up. There was no Brussels sprouts on the stalk. I was taking care of them, cutting off the lower limbs, giving them room to keep producing. I talked to one of my clients through my day job, and because she had some beautiful Brussels sprouts out in her backyard, and she told me that she just unintentionally left them to overwinter, forgot about them, and then come spring she was having Brussels sprouts starting to bud. And so I got really hopeful. I left them outside over winter. The next spring rolls around and it looks like they're gonna head up. And then I started to notice aphids. They were crawling all over the plants, everywhere. And so I decided I was gonna use diatomaceous earth. Diatomaceous earth is, people say it's an organic way. It's kind of like a last resort for me now. I probably will not touch it this year, but it is a powdery substance that you can sprinkle onto your plants to kill bugs. Bad bugs and good bugs. It doesn't discriminate against any of the bugs. It will kill all of the bugs. So I sprinkled on the diatomaceous earth onto my 2 Brussels sprout plants, hoping that that would knock back the aphids, get a harvest of Brussels sprouts. A couple days rolled by and it wasn't doing anything. The aphids were still there. It was the grossest, creepiest, crawliest thing ever. Just getting up close to those plants and seeing, there were thousands of little bugs crawling over these leaves. I didn't want to touch the plants. So I had read that ladybugs really love to eat aphids. And so I decided to purchase some live ladybugs. I purchased those live ladybugs. I got, I think, like 1,000 of them, something crazy. And I sprinkled them all over my Brussels sprout plants. And for whatever reason, all of the ladybugs were just dropping dead. And then I realized I didn't spray off the diatomaceous earth. And so I was literally sending these ladybugs to their death in the powdery mist of the diatomaceous earth. So for you guys, diatomaceous earth can be a helpful tool for getting rid of bad bugs, but remember that it kills all bugs. Butterflies, bees, ladybugs, praying mantises, all of the bugs. It doesn't matter what they are, it will kill the bugs. So, all that to say, I really hope I can get a harvest of Brussels sprouts this year. I was super excited to get some and I did not. And I want that joy of having that homegrown Brussels sprout. I'm also going to be trying to grow some brilliant rainbow quinoa. This is from Tradewind Fruit. I think I bought this back in 2021, so these seeds are a little bit older. But I love quinoa. I've been on a kick recently of making pre-made like lunches, like bulk lunches for myself for my day job. And I've been using quinoa and chickpeas. And so if I can grow some quinoa, that'd be awesome. If not, I tried and I can try again next year. With the herbs, I am growing a whole bunch of catnip. I have kitties that love catnip. And if I can grow it myself and save myself a few bucks, that'd be awesome. The next is some holy Tulsi basil, or holy basil. This is a really pretty basil that smells really terrific. And I'm just gonna plant all the varieties of basil this year because I also have some cinnamon basil, which I'm super excited about. I love cinnamon basil. It says that it has a spicy anise flavor, tasty Mexican variety. So gonna be trying this guy out too. And then just that typical Italian Genovese basil, which I have a huge packet of. And I'm gonna be planting a whole bunch of these guys because I love basil, and fresh basil and tomato sauces. So let us start by filling all of our seed trays with some soil. I'm gonna pop our guys that need potted up off to the side for now, because they will be our last little project for today. I already went ahead and made tags for all of the varieties. So again, I just kind of put the variety on the front and the date on the back, just so I have an idea of when it was started. This soil looks so much better than the other variety. There are still some little chunks. You got some cocoa coir chunks, but like, yeah, this is the worst I found. A little chunk of mulch. So much better than a large chunk plus a screw. All right, so let us start with some basils. I'm gonna do, for now, a row of 2. And these are pretty tiny seeds, so I'm just gonna sprinkle them on the top, and then I'll just trussel them in, or kind of mix them in on the soil surface, just because they need a 1/4 inch thickness of sowing depth. Got a ton in here, and I'm gonna densely pack this just a little bit, because you can just go ahead and split that cell in half or quarters or whatever, and you know, plant out those little sections. I almost forgot that I was going to water these in. Almost always forget every time. So I typically like to top water the unsown soil, just so that it will settle to the bottom. And then if I need to add a little bit more soil, I can. But once they are sown, I do bottom water. That way we just kind of ensure that those roots are really trying to reach for the bottom, growing nice, long, healthy, white roots. And also we're not splashing that water back up onto any of the seedlings or making those seeds settle to the bottom, because that soil does kind of pull downwards. All right, for this one, I'll just go ahead and bottom water it, since I already sown the seeds on that, and it'll just pull the water up into the dry soil. So that's our Genovese basil. I'll go ahead and tape this down because I don't want to lose all those seeds, get them mixed up with everything else. Our next seed is going to be the cinnamon basil. I'm also going to do another 2 rows of those guys too. Just sprinkle it on the top and then put it in, mix it in. Last but not least is that Tulsi holy basil, which these seeds are super, super tiny. So I am just going to sprinkle these guys gently over the top of this. And I'm not going to move these around too much, just because they are so tiny. It does not say that they need light to germinate, which is typical of most flowers. It'll tell you on the packet if it does need light. If it doesn't, it has very minimal information. You can always look up the variety online to try to get a better idea. But I'm just gonna kind of push them down a little bit, not too much, and then we're done with our basil cells. Put those guys off to the side. The next one, let's do some marigolds. I'm gonna get the table nice and wet, make sure I don't get any seed packets in the water. I'm gonna do 3 cells of each variety. Climax Mixed Gold from Burpee. And we'll just put a few seeds per cell. And then just bury them. Move on to our Brussels sprouts and our brilliant quinoa. So Brussels sprouts kind of have the same seed as a broccoli seed or a spinach. That little round, small peppercorn looking seed. So add 2 seeds per pocket. And then put these guys back. Bury the seeds, just about a 1/4 inch depth. You want to plant these seeds, or any of your seeds, twice as deep as they are thick, which a lot of the time is not very deep at all because some of these seeds are quite small. I'm gonna go ahead and do 2 to 3 seeds per pocket. Again, that's like 1/4 inch depth for those as well because they're about the same size as the Brussels sprouts. We'll do the ground cherry and we'll do spacing like this. And these also get a 1/4 inch depth of planting. I really think I only want about 2 plants of these, and these seeds are super, super tiny. They're almost like the tomatillo plant seeds. So you probably can hardly see those. So I'm just going to drop a few in the center. So I'm gonna do the yellow toothache plant in here as well as my catnip. I'm super excited for this toothache plant just for medicinal properties and whatnot. I have never grown any medicinal, well, I guess I have. There are a couple just everyday flowers that we grow that are medicinal in nature. Just kind of put those off. These are tiny seeds too. And it does say that light speeds up germination, so I will not be burying these into the soil. I'll just leave them on the surface, which is good to know. Last one for this pack is the catnip. They're also very tiny seeds. Just sprinkle these guys on there and then kind of mix them into the soil just a tiny bit. The last guys are going to be our tomatoes. So I'm going to do all 3 of these varieties in this little cell, just because I really don't need a ton of them. So I'll probably just plant 2 seeds per pocket. Just make a slight indentation in all of the pockets. And then the first one's going to be the Cherokee purple tomato. And I'm just planting 2 to 3 seeds per hole, and then just gently covering with a little bit of soil. Next is our 10 fingers of Naples. And last but not least is our Artisan Tiger Stripes pole blend. This is the one that I needed to do. I need at least 3 pockets for, so I will probably steal one of these pockets over here. We need to put green on this tag, and then we'll write Artisan Tiger, and then we have pink and then blush. So pink, today's date, which is the 11th of March, and then one more tag for that. This is blush. We'll do 311 again on the back. And we'll put this in the purple one. Okay, so for the first one, we need a natural seed for the green. So we got 2 in there. The next one is our pink tomato. Pink tomato, which is our red seed. So there's 2 in there. And then lastly, we need the yellow seed for our blush tomatoes. Make a hole. And then we'll just cover those seeds. We are all finished planting and up-potting all of our glorious plants. I'm super excited for the season that is to come. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you want, go ahead and check out one of my other videos. I'll post one up here for you guys. But until next time, thanks for joining me.